Pax Autocratica shouldn't work this well. Now I have already covered the nuts and bolts of what Pax Autocratica contains in my review a couple days ago. For this one, I want to focus more on why this bizarre combination of completely different genres works as well as it does here. And no, of course, the game is not flawless, which we will also get into here. You can watch this video completely on its own. So a colony sim, first-person shooter, a roguelite, army management, political sim, crafting, prisoners, territory conquest, that's a lot of genres fighting for the same game. And based on experience, many games that try to be this many things usually end up mediocre, or at least they are very broken at launch. And yet this one is probably my biggest surprise of the year so far. If you were to isolate any single piece of Pax, then you can probably name something that does it better. There are most certainly deeper colony sims, there are much tighter shooters, there are of course roguelites with much more build variety. What makes Pax work is how heavily all these systems feed into each other and harmonize together. Your colony is what makes your expeditions possible. Your citizens mine, research and manufacture the weapons and gear you take out into the field, and whatever you bring home from a fight. Resources, loot and people then feed straight back into the colony. If you haven't seen my review, this game allows you to capture enemies, so they don't merely convert into an experience bar. You can capture them and bring them back home, at first as prisoners, and slowly they get more loyal to you. So almost everything you do in this game pushes something else forward. But even more importantly perhaps, it also fixes a pacing issue that both genres usually run into on their own. Pure colony sims typically hit stretches, where you're watching production numbers tick up and waiting on research. Pure roguelites can start feeling disposable once a run is over, and most of your progress resets. Pax essentially makes the two take turns. If you feel like the colony management is a bit slow right now, simply get in a ship and go shoot something. And when you're done fighting, simply go home and see what all that fighting actually built for you. Your expedition upgrades in a run disappear of course when the run ends, but the larger progression of course keeps moving. This is of course thanks to the dozens of progression systems in this game. There are so many of them. Your colony grows, your weapons get better, your soldiers improve, your own leader of course develops, and whatever you brought back has some use. Naturally, some more than other. Because of this, I rarely feel like I've spent half an hour achieving nothing. Now of course we have to say, whether that constant switching hooks you probably comes down to whether you like constantly changing what kind of decision you're making. Someone coming primarily for a really deep colony simulator might indeed find parts of this fairly light. The shooting, despite being punchy, is also much simpler than you would get from a game built entirely around being an FPS. The sweet spot for you as a player is wanting both. Managing the colony for a while, heading out yourself, changing things around at your home base, and then doing it again. And let's be honest, most colony sims don't physically put you inside what you're building. It simply feels satisfying building from first person. Of course, it's not the only game like this, but it's one of the few that does it well. That physical presence alone makes a surprisingly big difference. And I'd say you have to play it for yourself for this difference to make any effect. Now for the developer team to take this to the next level, I would really like more visual variety between the soldiers. They are very detailed when it comes to their sheet, but I would like for their traits and character personalities, etc. to be somewhat represented in their visual appearance. I'm aware this is a big ask, but I hope somewhere in the early access phase they can implement this. Now their totalitarian dictatorship setting mainly gives all of these different mechanics a reason to belong in the same world. You're setting work hours and curfews because you're running the state. Surveillance fits naturally into that. Capturing enemies fits. Propaganda fits also, as does building up the military itself. And even throwing soldiers into horrible situations because the colony needs something fits. The theme runs through practically everything, and it really helps a game with this many systems feel surprisingly coherent. Without it, I think the whole thing could very easily have felt like 5 different games. There is obviously plenty of room for improvement. The smaller resource missions in particular can repeat more than I'd like. And for now, that's probably the biggest long-term risk. The current loop doesn't have enough variety to hold up over 80 hours. Of course, as I mentioned in my review, the ally AI needs work. And I think it would go a long way if your soldiers had more personality and more distinction. Thankfully for new players, all the individual systems are fairly approachable. The colony management and progression definitely has depth, but it's not enormously complex. The user interface is very good. Shooting is of course easy to understand, and the roguelite side doesn't bury you under hundreds of possible build interactions. This accessibility is also a huge part of why I recommend this game. And of course, it's early access. Everything I'm talking about here is based on the game as it exists right now, and based on the roadmap. There's a lot more coming. So if you like games that keep multiple progression tracks moving at once, Pax has a lot going for it. Especially if you enjoy physically walking around the thing you're managing. Transparently, I have to say, people mainly looking for a massive colony simulator with endless management depth may want to wait. And the same goes for anyone coming primarily for the shooting, or anyone who burns out quickly when the mission structures start repeating. But personally, I can't remember the last time a game that was barely on my radar hooked me this fast. This is why it's my surprise of the year.